Hi guys, it's Josh from Mira Gaming, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going on no script, but we're going to be going over Mira and certain Mira placements that you can use in your games. Now, since Mira was released back in year 2, she's been around for quite a long time now, and in that time, a lot of players have been getting used to how to play her. However, in low ranks, and particularly new players, can quite often put Miras in less advantageous spots that, if compromised, can tend to put defenders at somewhat of a disadvantage and possibly cost them the round. As it stands nowadays with the pick and ban system in place, you can more often than not see Mira most likely banned probably every 1 in 3 matches, to be honest, probably sometimes more. But the aim of this video is to simply give new players and people who maybe are considering maining Mira an idea of where they can use Mira, what's the best playstyle for Mira, and the best spots that she can be utilised in effectively to protect a defense, and how maybe you can synergize with other teammates on your team to help protect these Miras and really anchor down a defense. Now, not all of these are perfect. Definitely there are some counters to them that should be taken into consideration. Through gameplay, you'll quickly realize what it is that you need covered and how these can be breached, how they can be made vulnerable. So with all that being said, let's just jump straight into things. So first, we're down in basement on bank. This is a common site to see Mira on. So first we want to do is we want to go onto the wall that looks into the garage, and we're going to reinforce that and slap a Mira on as far right as possible. Now, with this position, one of the things to mainly consider is possibly a twitch drone from this drone hole just right here that I'm pinging out. It's almost imperative that this hatch just above the Mira is reinforced, just in case someone like a buck or a sledge comes across. You don't want to make that an easy target for them to get. A Kaid would also help if reinforced to slow down a Habana getting it. More often than not, that hatch is blown open. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to run over to the red corridor, and we're going to reinforce this wall just in front of the vault. We want the right-hand wall. I'm going to shoot out a vertical strip just so that we can throw C4s into the default plant spot and also be able to poke our head out. Then going to put a Mira straight on, pretty much as far left as we can again, just so there's a little bit less movement between having to pre-fire, for example. Next, we're going to go over to the right-hand side of this overturned car, and we're going to shoot out the bottom of the wall, which allows us to get a good angle to anyone dropping down from the hatch in that room. As you can see here, this Mira gives us a great view from anyone pushing in from garage and allows us to pre-fire and hopefully kill them as they approach the door. And moving back down to the red corridor, as my helpful brother has just helped me create a rotate, which is quite often there, gives us a great line of sight with anyone pushing from server and anyone approaching the default plant site. Now, the best things to keep in mind on this one is people potentially flanking you from vault hatches, so therefore I'd recommend those vault hatches be reinforced, and anyone flanking you from garage, but hopefully someone is on that garage Mira to protect you. Like I said earlier, this line of sight gives us a perfect view down into server rack and being able to protect the default plant, and we're able to throw a C4 pretty much perfectly to where they're defusing. Cool. Now on to the next one. Now we're moving upstairs to CEO office. This one you won't see Mira setups played that often, but you can get some decent setups on here. Going to move over into the conference room, which I'm going to instruct Jake, who's playing Mira this round, to reinforce the far right wall looking into the janitor's closet. Going to shoot out a little hole just so he can pre-fire and make a line of sight. Slap the Mira on the left-hand side, which gives him a good angle into janitors. You and a teammate can help make the default rotate and a longer line of sight by shooting out the CEO office wall into janitors. The next one is another Mira looking out onto central stairs from conference room. Putting it at crouch height will allow us to get a little bit of an angle onto the skylight, but also make us look into stock room, as well as getting an angle onto elevators and central stairs, and potentially the skylight as well. Now, from this perspective, you'll be able to see what the attacker can see when they approach stock window, and they're greeted immediately with a Mira who'd be able to pre-fire them and beam them in the head. Now, even if you can't secure the kill, you can at least make call-outs to your other teammates. Now, demonstrating here is an example of the line of sight you can get onto central stairs, which is normally a heavily contested area when you're defending CEO office. Now, as Mira, you can easily shoot out just above the Mira, which will allow you to throw C4s. In this case, I'm throwing a frag grenade. Now we're going to demonstrate what it would look like had a thermite or a Habana maybe breach the wall. If they breach the wall, they're going to be immediately greeted by Mira just staring right at them, ready to kill them. And from Mira's perspective, she can pretty much see everything that's going on and has a really strong line of sight. But as I'm planting here, Mira's quite easily able to throw a C4 at me and stop the plant. Right, moving on downstairs to open area. This is another site where sometimes you see Mira, but she's not that frequent. It's going to be going into the small office that looks out into the kitchen. Going to be reinforcing the right-hand wall. Now, you're going to want all these 3 walls to be reinforced, otherwise you're going to be at a massive disadvantage, and probably even the hatch above you. Going to slap the Mira down on the left-hand side of the wall. and then just open up a rotation hole from kitchen into the small admin office. Now we're going to move over to the small wall that overlooks the alley access window, and we're going to reinforce it and slap a mirror on the right hand side, which will give us a great angle out into the car park outside alley access. Now you probably again want to reinforce the 2 hatches inside open area, because if someone opens them from above they've got a great line of sight, and you might want someone playing down in white corridor. Buck is dancing around on that little black car. We've got good line of sight on him. We could easily kill him from here. Bear in mind, as they see that mirror through the window, they are probably going to be expecting you to peek your head out. So it's better to wait for them to come to you than for you to aggressively peek them. As we just shoot out the soft wall in Prince room, it allows us to get a good line of sight into the kitchen area and anyone pushing from square or from kitchen wall. Now back in the admin office, we are able to see that we are easily able to challenge Buck, who's about to plant, throw a C4 over and kill him. Right, now moving on to Consulate. So this is one where you can see Mira play quite often, but she's often played in the armory itself. We're going to try and do something a little bit different that I've seen once or twice used in Pro League. Now we're going to be moving over to CCTV and break room, but particularly looking at this eastern wall that looks out into 90 and east stairs. So we're going to want to reinforce the right hand wall and open up the wall looking into fountains, give us a longer line of sight. Now as Mira, the longer your line of sight is, typically the better, because you can prepare defense for a longer period of time. Going to put the mirror down on the left-hand side again. This means we have less movement between pre-firing and actually shooting down the corridor. As you can see, it gives us a really good line of sight into office and down east stairs. Now you're going to want to ask someone to reinforce these 2 walls on security if they're available. Now that is quite important, because if those walls get breached, then you are completely compromised. So you want to make it as difficult for the attackers as possible. It's also worth maybe bringing a castle so that the windows and doors into CCTV and break room are a little bit more difficult. It would take Sledge, Ash or Zofia to get rid of them, or anyone with breaching charges. But as most people don't bring breaching charges, you're probably going to be okay. Now you're probably going to want to use the other mirror. So my best alternative is probably to put it down on the left-hand side of the wall in Armory Office. This means you can contest pretty much anyone who's managed to breach the armory wall and hopefully stop a plant. You don't want to make the hole too big on this one, just because throwing grenades at you might want to make it a bit more difficult. The main weaknesses are the window and sandwich and the window looking into big office. Now we're going to move down to Chalet. This is probably one of the most important mirror setups that you can use and we'll see pretty much all the time. Going to be going over to the wine cellar wall that looks into Snowmobile and reinforce that. Going to deploy it as far right as possible and then open up a rotation hole to the right of the mirror, which will allow us to peek out and pre-fire. You don't want it too big though, because people from blue stairs will be able to shoot you from it, so you want to make it as thin as possible but big enough to easily get out. Next we're going to move over to wine stock and we're going to again reinforce the right hand wall. Putting the mirror as far left as possible, and then opening up a small vertical hole to throw C4s for. Now this is optional, you can make a small rotation. A lot of people like to reinforce this wall to make it feel a little bit safer. Now as you can see back on the wine cellar wall, this gives us a great line of sight onto the Snowmobile garage wall, and we can quite easily contest the person planting behind the bins. Now if you've got a better throw than me, you probably would have been able to get the C4. It is possible. Now your biggest concern on the Snowmobile mirror is people attacking from central stairs and people attacking from blue stairs. Now, people from blue stairs can easily shoot out the mirror if they get the right angle, so that's why it's almost important to not make the rotation hole too big. The mirror looking into wine cellar from wine stock gives you a great chance to defend people coming from big garage or west main stairs. Also using the little rotate on the right will allow you to pick off anyone coming from trench, but it might be worth putting some barbed wire down there, otherwise someone might be able to sneak up on you quite easily. Right, we're moving back into Snowmobile Garage again, just to try out an alternative mirror setup that you really don't see very often. But we're going to be wanting to contest in the garage bins again, but this time we're going to be putting a mirror on the soft wall at crouch height. That way we can get a great line of sight onto the bins, and be able to easily contest the planets going down, as you can see here. Right, now moving into bar, which is a site that most people don't like to play. But this one is quite good for a mirror setup. You can put one here just on the bar door on the right hand side, put a mirror down on there and you get a great line of sight looking out onto fireplace entrance. Maybe it's worth potentially barricading the 2 double doors from kitchen, which will stop people rushing in so much. And then we're going to go back into the bar. And on this central wall out of these 3 walls, we're going to put another reinforcement and a mirror down the middle. This gives us a great line of sight into games room. I'm going to put 2 vertical strips either side of the mirror just so that we can throw a C4 over, and then maybe a couple of rotation holes either side, just so that if we need to, we can pop in and out. This hatch here by the ceiling fan is probably going to need to be reinforced or have someone playing upstairs just to make sure it's a bit easier to defend the site and not make yourself so vulnerable. On this particular site, it's probably good to have someone playing down here by west entrance or gaming room hallway. That way you can protect the library stairs. Now we're going to be going over to Clubhouse for one of the strongest mirror setups that I see used. I'm going to go over to the cache wall from the outside of Eastern Stairs. I'm going to reinforce in the center of these 3 walls. Shoot out a little rotation hole behind the cache stack so you've got a bit of cover when you rotate. And then some vertical strips either side just to, again, to throw some C4s over. Again, we're going to be putting a mirror inside cache, but this one's going to be looking out onto the server room, looking out onto the breach, and importantly, the balcony window. I'm going to put a strip across the top of the wall so that we can throw C4s over anyone contesting to plant into that server room. As you can see, as I throw the C4 over the top of that, it lands right here on the server after the TVs, right by the breach. So if you're quick enough, you can probably C4 someone as they're just about to run in. And again, it's important to know that the attackers can still shoot through that soft wall, even with the mirror on it, and potentially take you out by shooting your feet. Again, it might be useful to have a Jaeger on hand because people can throw grenades over the top there. So unless you desperately need to, it's not always necessary to put that strip across the top. Now, as you can see here, the Eastern Stairs mirror gives you a great line of sight into construction. Anyone contesting that will find it incredibly difficult to push in, and then by throwing a C4 over, you can pretty much deny entry or planting on that door. Now, it's good to notice that there's a drone hole behind you on the Eastern Stairs, so it is very important to watch out for Twitch drones and potentially capital firebolts. For that reason, I'd recommend teaming up with a Wamai who can give you a magnet just up here on the ceiling. And another thing to maybe consider is teaming up with someone who has a deployable shield who can put it just here in this doorway. This doorway will allow you to be protected from anyone who manages to breach the wall and potentially on the rappel looking down red corridor. Now, good spot for either an ADS or a magnet. It's just here on the top of the Eastern Stairs, which will protect you from anyone throwing anything over the top. Now we're going to be moving to Outback, one of my favourite maps to be using mirror on. So we're going to be going into laundry here, and on the right hand wall looking out onto yellow stairs, we're going to reinforce that, open a small hole, and place our mirror down. Now what we can do is go over here into Motel Hallway and shoot open the wall that looks into bunk beds. As part of another pre-setup, we're going to go into Games Room and we're going to shoot a hole where these posters are, and then we're going to go into Showers, smack that hand dryer, and then reinforce the far right wall behind the showers. Then we're going to put a mirror as far left as we possibly can. That will allow us to contest anyone coming in from balcony stairs or piano door. Now what I like to do is I like to ask the teammates to reinforce these 2 walls in the showers to be able to help me defend myself and protect me from anyone pre-firing me from piano stairs. Now from the motel balcony looking into showers, you can see that the attackers can get a slight angle onto that mirror in laundry. Now on the west balcony looking into dorms, as soon as that barricade is destroyed, that mirror has an incredibly strong line of sight onto the attacker about to jump in and can pre-fire them and can stop them jumping in that window. Now another strong counter to this laundry setup is anyone who's managed to get piano control and can sneak around into the corridor and get a line of sight onto you. Now from the attacker's perspective in ball, as soon as they breach that wall, they are greeted with your mirror. Now this mirror setup makes planting behind the orange armchairs or the yellow football table very difficult to execute, as mirror could easily shoot you out or throw a C4 at you. Now from Mira's perspective, she can see easily down the entire corridor behind ball and onto balcony door. Now it seems when using this strat, more often than not, we have been able to win this site quite convincingly. A big weakness to the shower setup is anyone pushing you from bunk windows, because they can get a good long line of sight on you. However, maybe teaming up with an Ella or anyone with a deployable shield, by putting it in line with the shower cubicle, you can get a really strong line of sight that looks back onto the bunk window, and you can defend yourself from both front and behind. Now we're going to move on to Games Room. This is going to be a 2-parter because I need 4 walls for this one. So this one is one where you're going to have to team up with someone else. By putting your reinforcements down here in the corner in a V shape looking out into garage, you can get a really strong line of sight that covers the entire east balcony into garage and pretty much protects the office just in front of you. Again, by destroying the soft wall around the reinforcement, you can make it really easy to throw C4s over, but again be aware that people could throw things back at you. Right, on to the next step. We're staying in party room. We're going to go to the far right hand wall. We're going to reinforce the 2 walls right at the end. We're going to put a mirror down on the far left wall, as far left as we possibly can, and again we're going to shoot out just by the sides of the mirror. Going to move over into mechanical ballroom, and we're going to blow out this wall so we can get a line of sight into games. This can often be reinforced, but sometimes it's good to have a line of sight just to know when people are pushing you. And if you want an extra long line of sight, we're going to go into games room and we're going to blow out the wall into showers. This gives you an incredibly long line of sight looking down into the motel section of the map, where attackers quite often want to push to get map control. Again, to protect us from any throwables, we're going to want to put an ADS just here by the DJ decks. Now again, one of the biggest weaknesses to this site is anyone pushing in from an electrical room who can get a quick line of sight onto that mirror just by the DJ decks and sneak in. And again, it's good to be cautious of anyone approaching from Shark because they too can get the same line of sight onto you if they're quick enough or quiet enough. So it's a good idea to have someone playing by mechanical ball or by Shark stairs. And again, just in case you haven't got anyone protecting you, it might be a good idea just to barricade the door from the mezzanine just to give you that little bit extra cover. Right, now we're moving down into gear and compressor, and this one we have two different strats for. But first we're going to be moving down into the freezer and convenience store. First one we want to do is we want to put a reinforcement in the beer fridge looking south into the south corridor. This gives us a good line of sight of anyone coming in from the petrol pump's window and immediately intimidates them as soon as they come in. Having it in this corridor allows you to get great intel on anyone pushing you. As you can see here from the waiting room, it's quite a daunting sight just to see that slab of mirror just staring at you and you can't do anything really about it without a hard breacher. Again, we're back in the beer fridge and we're going to be reinforcing the far left wall and putting our mirror on the far right hand side. Now this gives us a great line of sight from anyone approaching from west balcony or anyone approaching from motel reception. Again, by putting a strip on the right hand side, we can quite easily challenge anyone on the rappel or anyone jumping into that window and anyone rushing in from motel reception. As soon as you jump in through that west balcony window, you can immediately see that mirror, which could be bad news if there's a roamer upstairs in office on ball, and that mirror is making call-outs to them to come get you. Now, for an alternative gear and compressor strat, we're moving into the kitchen on the ground floor for somewhat of an extended hold. Now, this is a strategy that me, Jake, and James, people I play with, use quite often as one of our bogey strats. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the kitchen wall, and we're going to reinforce the middle wall. We're going to open up the sides of the wall, and then pop a few rotations either side. Now, on that reinforced wall, we're going to put a mirror down as close to the middle as we possibly can, which gives us a great line of sight for anyone challenging gear or compressor, as you can see here. Now, kitchen and restaurant can be a quite heavily contested area when defending gear and compressor, so for that reason we always reinforce these two walls on the west kitchen wall, and more often than not put a mute jammer there, electrical or a bandit battery. Another thing we always do is we have a castle playing in the kitchen as well to cover Mira's back, and what he'll normally do is put his castle barricades down on the doorways coming from piano stairs, the door coming into kitchen from kitchen hallway, and then the door coming into kitchen from restaurant. This primarily leaves only one major weak point on this extended hold, which is, of course, the pass. Now, Castle's often playing on the pass, protecting Mira from anyone coming from restaurant or anyone coming from Shark stairs. Right, so yeah, I thought I'd throw in a bonus map. I didn't want to just do ranked maps because not all players are ranked players, so we're going to be going over to Fortress, another really strong map for Mira's playing. First site on this map, we're going over to Dormitory. We're going to be putting a mirror at crouch height on this south wall looking into football room. This gives us a really strong line of sight into football and anyone contesting from the corridors just outside. Then going to turn around and reinforce the left-hand side wall directly behind us. There's a rotate hole just on the right hand side of the mirror just so that we can jump over if we need to defuse or if anyone's getting too aggressive. Now here by these green lockers, when Mira used to have a deployable shield, I used to put one here, but unfortunately Mira has now lost her deployable shield, so by teaming up with someone else and they put a deployable shield there, you can very easily defend anyone coming from the west corridor. Putting this mirror at crouch height means you can easily peek over the top and shoot anyone approaching in from that door. It's also good to note that this pool table just in front of you can quite easily protect anyone from shooting you at your feet. However, it's still good to know that an Astral Zofia can still throw a breaching round at you, so by putting an ADS on top of the green containers on top of the pool table, you can pretty much nullify that. Now we're moving over to Commander's office, where what we're going to want to do is we're going to have someone on our team to reinforce these two walls looking out into the north corridor. We're going to put this mirror at crouch height, which gives us a great view into master bedroom, and anyone coming in from the northeast staircase coming from the roof. Again, just to make double sure, you want to make sure this wall right next to you is reinforced to stop anyone coming up from the northwest spiral stairs. Now moving into the bathroom, we're going to want to reinforce the left-hand side wall looking out into Horse. Next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to communicate with our team to not reinforce the most southern wall looking out into Horse Corridor. What we then want to do is want to make a line of sight straight from the bathroom into Commander's office, which gives us a really strong line of sight onto Cannon Doorway. If the enemy team are constantly bringing people with frag grenades, maybe a buck and a sledge combo or an Amaru, it might be worth your time to reinforce this floor hatch. Now, anyone coming from East Corridor is going to find it very difficult to blow out the canister on the mirror, because from their perspective, the mirror is perfectly blocked by the bath pillar. Right, now we're going to be moving down to the kitchen, and this is another incredibly strong one of my personal favourites when Fortress was still in ranked, is we're going to be moving down to kitchen and tucking ourselves just behind the kitchen furnace, putting our reinforcement and mirror on the left-hand side wall, which gives us a great line of sight looking into this waiting room. Now, being tucked behind this furnace gives us really great defense from anyone trying to push us from behind, anyone trying to sneak up on us, as there is no direct line of sight from anyone coming from behind us. Now, quite often I'm teaming up with a mute on this site, who I'll ask to kindly put a mute jammer just down here by this drone hole underneath the furnace. This can prevent any Twitch drones coming in and potentially zapping out your mirror. It will also help prevent people from droning you out in the first place. With all that being said, guys, I hope you find these mirror placements and tips quite useful. Maybe you can use some of them in your own games. Like always, thank you so much for watching these videos, and maybe you've enjoyed this more casual style video, maybe consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For now, I've been Josh from Elon Tusk Gaming, and I will see you next time.